Hi guys, it's me Ty here coming from Vientiane, Laos, the capital city, and I'm going to talk about the visa requirements for Americans to come from Vietnam to Laos, and then also how my journey was coming over here. So before I ever entered Vietnam, I bought my onward ticket, and it was for Laos, and so I think I paid $150 for that on 12goasia.com. So I spent my entire month in Vietnam, and then I did my research on what it's going to do for the visa requirements to come to Laos. And they said that you need, well, first, yeah, I'm going to say a little bit more on that. Okay, not just what they said. Okay, in order to even leave Vietnam, you have to, your stamp in your passport book isn't good enough because the one they gave me, I couldn't even read how long my visa stay was because it's all up to the discretion of the immigration officer when you enter there. It can be anywhere between 30 days and 90 days, 3 months. And all I wanted was 30 days or whatever. Well, he ended up giving me like a month and through and 3 weeks or something weird like that. It wasn't even actually a full 2 months or whatever. And I never asked for it. All I wanted was my 30 days. So I was fine with it. But like I said, I couldn't read it. So I was really nervous. So I kept my piece of paper where I printed out my Vietnam passport because that took 3 days to approve. And thank God I did because when I actually wanted to exit the country, um, the immigration officer couldn't tell if I overstayed my visa because he couldn't tell how long I was actually allowed to stay in the country. So um, he asked for that paper from me. So you guys, if you're spending extended periods of time in Vietnam, do not throw away your printout paper of your visa for when you entered that country. So and then the other requirement, so going to Laos was in Vietnam. They also did check if I had an onward ticket for when I came to Laos. They asked for that. And then once I arrived in Laos, they um, I had to give them $20 for a visa on arrival, or sorry about that, $40 in cash, and it's got to be crisp U.S. bills. So now on to how my trip was coming from Vietnam to Laos. So I went to the airport. I had the taxi take me from the beach to the airport to the international terminal. There are two terminals, a domestic and an international, and they are a little ways apart from each other when you're coming on the highway. So make sure you let your taxi driver know which one you're going to. And I believe it was 75,000 dong, so exactly $3. Um, yeah, because it was 64,000 is what it came on. I forgot what they're. Oh, Grab. Grab is the taxi service they use there. So it was 64,000 dong and then 10,000 dong to enter the airport. The fee, so exactly $3. And I got up like 4 hours early, and I got there over 3 hours ahead of time. And amazingly, most international airports, or even any airport, they don't open the gates until about 2 hours right before the flight. Here they already have people at the ticket booth for me to go up to the counter. So I hurried up and I went up there, and I had the same thing happen to me as my last flight here on all these little flights from country to country. Once you're actually in Asia, they don't include your luggage. Like I thought you would always get a checked luggage and then your carry-on. So like me, my backpack and then my laptop. Well, the total weight of those can't weigh over 7 kilograms, which is ridiculous because that's what, like 3 pounds. So my stuff weighed uh, just under 14 pounds, like 13.4 or something like that. So she made me go to the ticket counter across the airport, and I think I had to pay 740,000 dong. So I think that's right around $28. Last time with that same stuff, I paid 700,000 dong. So my $150 ticket turned into about a $200 ticket to come over here to Laos. So after that, I went ahead and I ate my breakfast because I had that with me, and then I headed up to um, the TSA controller or whatever. They check your backpack and all that. All that stuff went nice and fast. Got in the airport, and I wanted to change out my Vietnamese dong for US dollars, which normally I don't recommend doing that in Asia. And normally I don't do that unless I have no plans of ever coming back to that country. And with Vietnam, yeah, they, it just wasn't my vibe. Either you love Vietnam or you hate it. And I don't hate it, but it wasn't my vibe. So I did change out my currency maybe like an hour before our plane took off, and then I went downstairs and we were able to get down to the gate because it's not quite like Thailand when you're at Suvarnabhumi Humi Airport. You always have to wait up at the chairs at top before the lady opens the gate right before the flight, so everybody can sit down there. Here we were able to walk right down to that area, and got to visit with a lot of people from like India and stuff like that. It was their first trip to Vietnam, and so yeah, we got in the flight, and I'm trying to think here. I don't remember how. I don't think that flight was completely full coming down to Bangkok, Thailand. Um, and that's and at first, I was kind of worried about my flight because for some reason I didn't think that Da Nang was really an international airport. I thought I was going to have to make check in there and then fly to Ho Chi Minh City and then over to Vientiane, Viet, Laos here. And it wasn't that. I took a closer look at my ticket, and it turned out that I was actually exiting the country through Da Nang. So I wasn't going to have to deal with immigration a second time of if I had the right documents or anything like that. So flew from Da Nang, Vietnam into Bangkok, Thailand. And this was my first experience ever flying into Don Muan Airport in Bangkok. I've always gone through Suvarnabhumi. And I tell you what, that is the slowest airport I have ever been to. We got an immigration, and there weren't many of us at all. And I was like, "What is taking us so long?" The line was not moving. They had the X-ray machine. There was three Thai women were in charge of immigration there. There was no men, and they went and rummaged through everybody's backpack and stuff. You set it on your trays. They search through everything by hand. Then they run it through the X-ray machine. Then they send it back through the X-ray machine. So yeah, we all were so worried we were gonna miss our flight. Um, but we finally got through, and then I was able to go ahead and have dinner there. And I tell you what, everything there is expensive as heck over at Savarnabhumi. If you want any food, I searched forever through the different stuff, and I think I got my meal because I think just Burger King there was like $13. Most places you'll pay what 10 or 11, even in the United States. No, this place they're really price gougers for any kind of food there. So I ended up settling, I think, for some chicken and rice or whatever, and a Snickers candy bar. I think got them for $7, and it wasn't enough to fill me up, but just enough to hold my stomach over until until I could get to Laos. So then I got on the oh, and then we got our flight was delayed going to Bangkok. It was supposed to take off at like I think 1:05. It was probably closer to like 3 o'clock, and they let us know ahead of time. It showed that it was delayed. I have no idea why it was delayed. So we got on the airplane and coming to Laos. That plane really was not very full. There was I don't know, we were probably only halfway full, maybe a little over halfways. And they did not feed us anything on that flight. And then also coming from Vietnam on that flight, they didn't feed us anything. And it was with Thai Air Asia. And I think they're really like a budget airline, just like Spirit Airlines is in the United States, where they price gouge you for every little thing. You get cheaper plane tickets, but anything is ridiculously priced. So um, it was a nice flight coming over. Neither flight had a TV or anything. We just visited with all the other passengers on there. And one thing I must tell you with coming from Vietnam back to Thailand, like I've always said it before, I've always felt that Thai women are the most beautiful women in the world, and the Cambodia women are just a little behind on it, but they're super nice and a lot easier to start a family with a Cambodian. And I tell you what, when I got into Thailand there in that airport and seeing all those beautiful women, it tells you how spoiled you are in Thailand of just how beautiful the women really are there, you guys. So once we arrived in, um, okay, another thing about Don Juan Airport too. There, with us, we didn't actually have a terminal that we walk out on the tunnel or whatever into the airplane. We all had to board onto buses, and then we had to go up the steps into the airplane. So, which is, um, in smaller airports in the United States that I fly around with, or used to fly around with, we had to do that kind of stuff too. But that's how it was there. And then once we got into Laos, um, most of the people I talked to on the plane, they're like, "We've never been to Laos." I was like, "I've never been to Laos." So it was kind of confusing, but at least all the gate agents were showing us how to enter into the airport because we had to walk across the runway up into the airport. And the toilets were there, so we were able to use those. And then also on the plane, they had given us a piece of paper for like our visa on arrival or whatever. So we all filled that out. And then once we got there, I thought I was going to walk up to the immigration counters, but I saw everybody else standing at tables because I was one of the last people to get out of the bathroom. And we had a second form. So you're going to have to actually fill out two forms, one on the plane and then another form. And I think that one's the visa on arrival, and the one is just how long you plan to stay or something like that. I don't know. But I filled out each of those, and I saw most of the people in a bunch of the front counters, but I watched a little bit of, or I did a little bit of research on YouTube of people's experience there, and they're like, Laos is the easiest airport to get into. They're like, you don't need to apply for a visa ahead of time online. You just show up and pay your money in cash and get through. And there's like three counters. Well, the counter that I was looking for is called the visa on arrival one, and it is at the very end. So you got to walk quite a ways to get there. And yep, sure as heck, they have three different counters. You go to the first one, and you give the passport and one of the piece of papers to the officer. And the um, the first thing that he asked me, I think, was he looked at it and he's like, "I can't read your or no, that was the Vietnam one actually. The Vietnam with that one there, they couldn't to exit Vietnam. They couldn't read my passport of how long I was allowed to stay. Make sure I didn't have an overstay. So he asked for my piece of paper from a month ago, my printout of my acceptance visa to actually come to Vietnam. So they said, don't throw that away. But yeah, once in Laos there, he took my passport and one of the piece of papers. Then he's like, okay, go to the next counter, which they're all in line um, as you're passing through. And there it says, give your payment here. So I gave him two $20 bills from the US, and they rejected one of them. And I didn't see any tears in them. And he's like, it's not crispy enough. So I had to pull out another $20 bill. So gave him the $40 total in cash. And then they're like, okay, go to the next counter. And there we had to wait a little bit. And that's where they stamp our visa. And it's a nice big stamp that they put on your passport page. And it was nice and clear because they asked how long I was going to be here. And I said 30 days is how long I'm going to spend in this country. And they ended up giving me a stamp for 60 days. So my $40 here, I guess I might not end up going to Cambodia if I really like it here or am really enjoying myself or meet a really nice girl that I feel that I want to pursue a relationship with, see kind of have a future with, then I'll end up staying the 60 days rather than going to Cambodia where I got to pay my $31 a month for my visa. So yeah, I don't have to pay anything right now for my 60 days here if I decide to stay here. And so that went by pretty quick there. There was a guy that was having a little bit of trouble in front of me. That's kind of what our holdup was there. I think he was from like India or something. He had two passports, and he didn't give them the new passport. He gave them the old one because he just wanted to conserve his passport pages or something. And they were kind of all having a dispute between him and the immigration officers going back and forth. So once I got out of there, um, I went, yeah, I walked outside the airport kind of they have an opening area there or whatever. And I exchanged my money. There was a whole bunch of banks. It's actually not money exchange counters. It's actually banks that are there. And it was 21,900 kip to $1 is the exchange rate. And I don't know how much they gave me. It was a little over 21,000. I think it was like 21,350. But I was happy as long as it was at least 21,000. And people really aren't lying. Out of all the countries I've been to, of how high inflation must be or whatever here in Laos, they're like, you come to Laos and you give them $100 and you're a millionaire. And like Vietnam, like we didn't get that many bills actually, but here, Kip, it's like a whole huge stack of them, and they range anywhere from 100,000 Kip, which is $5, which is that's what they mostly gave me, to all the way down to 500 Kip, which nobody around here has given me change in 500 Kip. 1,000 is the smallest change I've gotten around here, and then after that, um, I decided to look for SIM cards, and a lot of them, I needed one for 30 days, and like there was a few of them that didn't even offer a 30-day plan, so ran around on that checking, and I finally settled on one that was, I think I paid 180,000 kip for my SIM card with 1 month worth of data, and I think I got the cheaper. I got one that didn't have that much data, maybe like 15 or 25 gigabytes of data. And so yeah, that was that'd be about close to $10 I paid for my SIM card. And um, yeah, I asked the girl. She spoke pretty darn good English at the SIM card place. So I was asking her, how to grab a taxi and what taxi app do they use. And what she didn't really give me what taxi app they use. She just said there's taxis out there, and I was like, yeah, that's too expensive because they want like $7 or whatever. In which I realize that's cheap compared to Bangkok, where we pay $15 for a darn taxi. Um, but Vietnam, I was only paying three. So here I thought seven was pretty expensive, and I've gotten so used to taking the public bus from the airports to the city center in all these countries now. So I'm used to paying, 50 cents. And here I'd heard online that it's like $1.50 or whatever. Well, it's actually $2. When I was at the airport, they actually have a ticket booth where you buy your tickets for the bus, and it's $2 is how much it costs. But I just missed the bus by 34 minutes, the girl said. And she's like, you're gonna have to wait 2 hours. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna sit in this airport for 2 hours because it was getting pretty late in the day. It was gonna be getting dark pretty soon, just to save um, whatever $5 I guess is what I'd be saving over a taxi. So says like you guys have an app here called Loca, right? It's spelled Loca. So I went ahead and I registered my phone number with Loca, and I'm trying to think how much that was. It's off the top of my head, I can't. I don't remember exactly how much it cost. Maybe it might have been around $5. You guys, yeah, it was 100. It was it said it was gonna cost me 99,640 kip. So there is no small enough change for that. So that's exactly $5 or whatever. So I go ahead and I type it in or whatever while I was still in the terminal with the girl, because it actually gave me for the pickup point the exit terminal of the international airport, and I showed it to the girl before I hit confirm, and typed in for city center. I think it was In Touch Hostel is the one that showed up as the cheapest one on Agoda.com. So the girl hit confirm, and I was like, so is my taxi gonna be waiting right outside these sliding doors for me? And she's like, yep, he's out there, he's out there. So I go out there and I wait, no taxi, and it gives the passport or the license plate number, the color and model of the car, and it was some EV, which I don't even know what EV cars look like, because there's so many different brands. I'm gonna plug in my computer here. So I must have waited 5 to 10 minutes. I just stood there, and finally he comes over. So I don't know if he was waiting over at the other door or if he just wasn't that close yet. Who knows? I'm just gonna assume he was probably by the other door. But I knew where I was supposed to be. So I waited and waited. And he finally shows up, and he didn't speak a lick of English. Brand new EV, and boy, I tell you what, when we pulled out into traffic, I honestly don't think I'd feel comfortable driving a motorbike here in Vientiane. Like Vietnam in Da Nang, there, a big city of 2.1 million people. It was my first time ever riding a motorbike in Asia, and I felt perfectly comfortable. Everything went fine. But here, this traffic was so bad by that airport. As like we were trying to make a left-hand turn, and it must have taken, it felt like 5 minutes, and then finally the light turned green, and then right before we got there, there was two cars in front of us, and it turned red again. We waited, so it was actually a long taxi ride from from the airport down to the city center here, and so we finally got to my hostel, and I paid him the 100,000 kip or $5, and I went into In Touch guest house. There was a little girl eating her meal or whatever, and there was no adults. So I asked her, I was like, "Is this In Touch?" Because it doesn't. The sign was kind of hung on the corner, like it could have been down an alley, which some places, they'll have a sign and you got to walk down an alley. And she's like, "Nope, this is the one." So she called her parents or whatever, and they came there, um, and I asked them. The first thing I asked them, I was like, "Do you guys have laundry here, where clotheslines where I can do my own laundry?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, yep." "Do you have lockers?" And they're like, "Yep, we got lockers, but they're pretty small. We don't think they're gonna be big enough for your laptop." And they were right on that. I don't know why these Asian countries, for your locker, that they have them so small that you can't fit your laptop in there. They're just big enough to fit your passport in, pretty much. And another couple or whatever from like Europe or whatever, they came, showed up at the same time, and they were like, "We want a tour. Can we see the room first?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to see the room first too." So the first thing they showed us was the clotheslines, and yeah, we had plenty of room for everybody to dry their clothes. And then they showed us the rooms, and I think that was okay. The bathrooms were okay for the shower and stuff. And then the locker, she's like, "I don't think they're not going to be big enough for you." And I was like, "I still want to try." And sure as heck, they weren't deep enough for my laptop. So I was like, "Yeah, this place isn't going to work." Then they sent me to Dream House Hostel down the road, and that place was not cheap. Um, I went there, and the guy that owned it, he gave me a tour of it or whatever, and I went to go lay down on the bed, took off my shoes and everything because I want to make sure it was long enough. And I've had some hostels where the mattress or especially the pillow will kink your neck. So I wanted to make sure that was okay. So I lay down on the bed, just lay my head on the pillow. He's like, "Don't do that." He's like, "Now I'm gonna have to wash the sheets." And I was like, "Okay." And all I was thinking in my head is like, I'm perfectly clean here. I didn't put my shoes on there. I just want to see if this bed is long enough for me. Because I've ran into some beds in Cambodia where they're not shorty, they're not long enough for anybody. Your legs are gonna be sticking over the end, and the mattress is bowed and stuff like that. So went back downstairs, and I was like, "Yep, this place isn't going to work for me." So I typed into agoda.com again for the nearest hostel, and I found another one. So I ended up paying $3.50, and this one's been good. But one thing I must say here, the hostels, well, ours anyways, it's like the province in the Philippines. Um, like Isla Pamilya, she made her viral video of her $40 house that she rents on Siquijor Island in the Philippines. And she said sometimes the water is shut off. Like there's not enough water for everybody on the island. And that's exactly how it is here. Like it's not that we have low water pressure. Sometimes we have low water pressure. It's that at the hostel, sometimes we have zero water at all. Turn on the spigots anywhere, any faucet, any toilet, any shower, zero water. And you just gotta wait until a certain part of the day again, and you have water. So definitely a big thing, big difference between that and all the other Asian countries I've been to. And people weren't kidding that Vientiane, Laos is not like the capital city. Like it's really boring. There isn't much to do. Yep, this city, it only has 841,000 people, but it feels like I live in the province. Like the only nightlife or fun thing to do here is go to Saiham Night Market down by the river, and it's actually up like 3 blocks from the riverside. and that's spelled Sihom. And yeah, they got tons of cheap food, and all the Cambodians um, come out there for supper every night, and they have a bunch of street vendors along the street, and they have lights everywhere, and they have and they have free tables for all of us to sit at and eat our food. And then connected to it is like a night market of bars too, and they have um, nice romantic music playing and stuff like that, like Bangkok, Thailand has, and and tons of free tables for everyone to sit at, and yeah, they do have a toilet there, but you got to pay 2,000 kip for that or whatever. That is another thing that you'll find out about Vientiane is that it's not a walkable city. Like when I would try to walk away from my hostel here, none of the places will let you use their toilet, and there's police officers on every corner that actually have their little hut or little house, watching to make sure people aren't jaywalking or following the traffic patterns and everything. So, and then they also do have a couple of paddy wagons to where they're like their little jeepneys here, pulling drivers over, checking to see if they have a license and all that kind of stuff. So, like yeah, I said, as of right now, I'm afraid to get a rent a motorbike over here. So, but yeah, and I don't feel comfortable like walking the entire Riverside or getting too far away just because have asked like convenience stores if I can use their toilet, and they're like nope. And I'm guessing it might be policy, corporate policy or whatever. But even the smaller restaurants here, the mom and pop ones, like I've asked to use the toilet there, like before I get a meal or whatever, and the lady will say no, and I'm like oh, okay, and then I don't eat there, of course, don't give my business. But yeah, that's the thing you'll find here. And then for also for getting stuff here, like I haven't noticed like any shopping malls too. Like all the other countries, we have a big shopping mall, with 3 toilets in it or whatever. Um, I'm guessing this is gonna be more like just convenience stores and like kind of a night market or whatever. And if they do have a toilet there, you're gonna have to pay to use it. But what we have here is D Mart. It's spelled the letter D and then dash MART. And it looks like it's like a little 7-Eleven convenience store, which, by the way, we don't have any 7-Elevens around here. We got lots of mini big C's, um, is what we have as our convenience stores around here. But this D Mart, like I said, it looks like a little convenience store, but you walk into it and it's actually 2 stories high. It's like a giant Walmart. They have everything. They have a huge grocery store down the bottom floor. The upstairs floor has towels and toothpaste and uh, appliances, just everything that you can need there. So it's pretty awesome. And I tell you what, um, I was wondering how the women are going to be here, of like how pretty they are, because that's the reason I'm going to all these countries is where where the women that I'm attracted to are. And like um, Vietnam, I did not find the women attractive. It, it's like people say either you love Vietnam or you hate it. And so many of my roommates know what like one of them he's got a baby with he's from India, a baby with one of the Vietnamese women there and all that. And all my so many of my roommates, well, most of them had said they they found Cambodia boring and everything, which I love Cambodia. And they're like, we can't wait to get back to Vietnam and all that and all that. Yeah, Vietnam just wasn't my vibe. So, but coming here to Laos, the women are so beautiful. They remind me of the Thai and the Cambodian women. Um, they got the round faces and the really broad smile, and they're very thin and petite here. And they most of them all have brown hair, so they're like a Thai woman. They're not like the Cambodians would have the black hair, but they're the same build as them. And yeah, as of right now, I've only spent 2 full days here, you guys. But walking around that D-Mart, half of the staff there, those women are drop dead gorgeous. Like I couldn't even pick one of them to even hit on. Because like me, I've kind of got to be around there a few days, doing business in a few days of for see if somebody kind of works their way into my heart. But yeah, half of them drop dead gorgeous, you guys. I couldn't even. They're so hot. that I couldn't even pick which one I like. And then over at Siam Night Market, it's not the workers that hot, and that opens at 6 p.m. every night, you guys. But there, it's all the people, they get off work in the evening, beautiful women, just going there for supper every night. So that is the area you want to hang out with the prettiest girls around here, you guys. And let's see what else around here. Um, I don't know if I should add this to this video or maybe make another video, but probably just add it. Okay, what I'm doing for food here, because as many of you know, my budget is $2 per meal, which thank you Thailand for establishing that, because in Thailand you always go out to eat at Tesco Lotus or Big C or Terminal 21 because they have the big food courts there, which are cheap, and that's my budget. You can fill your stomach up for less than $2. So that was my thing in Cambodia too, which that took a little bit of work to get a $3 meal. It's down to $2 there, but after I had my routine, I had that all set up. Vietnam, um, yeah, I got that all set up. A lot of ramen noodles and stuff like that. That's kind of what everybody's been eating over there. And now coming over here, um, okay, what do I have for breakfast? Oh, okay. There's this convenience store right on the riverside. We walk down there, and it's called Jiffy, Jiffy, and they have tons of cheap baked goods. So here in Laos, it's 21,000 kip is $1. For exactly 21,000 kip, you get this box of eight, yeah, it's eight muffins, banana muffins. And I bought two boxes my first day. I was like, oh, okay, because my budget is $2. I couldn't eat more than that one box. That one box fills up my belly. So that's my breakfast. And then also with me here in Asia, I try to eat healthy. I kind of established that over in Vietnam of trying to get, because I heard that like Paul in the Philippines, Old Dog Nutrix, he went to the doctor and he was actually experiencing bone loss because dairy products are so expensive here in Asia. So I would always pay $2 for a thing of milk there. And when it wasn't on special, then I would go to soy milk with added calcium, and that's $2 as well. So coming here, the milk here is kind of expensive. So I've been buying soy milk, 1 liter for $2. Actually, 28,000 kip is the cheapest place I found to buy that, and that's at D Mart. So that still leaves me, you know, about 50 cents to go towards other meals. So that's what I have for my dinner, and that fills me up. And then for supper, I always go out to the night market just because you can get such a variety of food. Like me, I think my first day I had like pork inside of this fried bread or whatever. I got two of them, and that that might have not even, yeah, that was only for like 30,000 kip. So I still had 10,000 left over to go buy like a candy bar at some place or whatever. But yeah, that really filled me up. That was a heavy one there, with all that pork in there. But the pork, I think some of it actually had bones in it. They didn't do the best job of sorting it out. And then last night, or the other two meals, because that was on my first night because I got late at night, and then the last 2 days, 2 full days I spent here, they have these little fried balls, and there's eight of them in there. Yeah, pretty sure it's eight, and yeah, it is eight, and they are 30,000 kip as well, and they have crab meat in them or uh, lobster meats and a whole bunch of other like seafood meats in them, which I got really hooked on those when I was going to school in Bangkok, Thailand. I would buy those crab balls. They were more expensive than that though, but yeah, I guess I get one container of that, and then over on the other end of the food court, they have the skewer with three pork balls on it, and the girl puts the hot sauce on it, spicy sauce, and then you can also ask her for chopped up cucumbers and chopped up lettuce she'll dump in there, and then she pours some more hot sauce. So I eat that, and that's kind of a light meal. Like that really doesn't fill me up. So with the rest of my money that I saved from having such a cheap breakfast in the morning, that was only 21,000 for that thing of biscuits, I'll run down to one of the big C's here, and they have an awesome bakery, you guys. Like, remember the Little Debbie brownies that we used to get when we were kids? You know, there's two of them that are connected together. Um, well, one of these places, you get actually um, one, two, and then three and four for 26,000 kip. So, yeah, that's really good. They taste so much like the Little Debbie ones in the United States before Little Debbie got rid of the walnuts on them and put those little candy sprinkles. Who wants candy? We want the walnuts on there. Well, these girls here, they put uh, um, sliced up almonds on them. So it's really good. But that Big C, they were I had trouble finding them again because the Big C's are all really spread out around here, and each Big C sells different bakery products. So I ended up at a different one, and they had chocolate chip cookies for 26,000. So that's what I ended up bringing over the night market after I finished my meal. And yeah, they were nice and moist and everything. And then I also saw at this night market they have four donuts that are chocolate covered, and some have pink frosting, and some have yellow frosting. So yeah, the baked goods here are cheap and they're awesome. And then as for fruits and vegetables, you guys, because I guess you guys want to eat healthy, there is a market that, like my landlord told me about. It doesn't actually really have a name. It's just over by JP Fitness. You would have to type in, and you just keep walking past it or whatever, and you have to kind of look down an alley, but you walk a long ways past it. And I went over there because D-Mart, they tried to rip me off on fruits and vegetables. They were so I'm not gonna say rip off, but so expensive. They had mangoes there, mangoes or dragon fruit, and it said 95 kips. So I'm guessing that's 95 per kilogram. That's $5 per kilogram. That's freaking ridiculous. So I did find that market, and it was only like two vendors there, and she had mangoes and dragon fruit, and one of them was 18 kip per kilogram, and the other one was 25 kip per kilogram. And I think it was the dragon fruit was the 18 kip, which is still pretty good. So I'm assuming that she would be able to work it around that she can get like a big dragon fruit and a little dragon fruit, and you would only pay $1 for it. So, which that's what I do in Cambodia. They always want over, I think they want like 5,000 Cambodia real per kilogram for dragon fruit. And I always tell them like, no, I only want to spend $1. That's $1.25. So the girls will always give me a big one and a little one. They have to try it on their scale a few different times to get one that'll match up, but that's how much I always paid there. But I haven't been going over there because it's such a long ways away from here. So I haven't been eating any fruit and vegetables. It's my own darn fault, but as of right now, I don't feel like walking that way. I'll just have desserts, I guess. So um, yeah. So as of right now, like I said, I'm sure glad I came here to Laos. I thought about skipping this country. I thought, looking for a good woman to start a family with, I thought I was just going to try Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia since I always thought the women would look similar. And then, of course, you got to throw in the Philippines because they're kind of that one that just everybody's starting a family there. But yeah, I definitely recommend Laos, and I can definitely tell from coming here that nobody comes to Laos because it was mostly foreigners on our flight here, but like I said, it was only half full. But actually, once you actually get around in the community visiting here, I see a lot of foreigners, but just about everyone I ask, is this your first trip to Laos? Every one of them, this is our first time to Laos. Same here. This is my first time to Laos too. So I think that once people come here, it's like a one-time thing. I visit a Laos, and then they never come back. They just go to uh, Thailand, pretty much. So, all right. If you guys like this content, like, share, and subscribe, and I will keep kicking out these videos from Laos. So, all right. Okay, later. Bye.